Hi, Valerie Milano here, the senior editor of the Hollywood Times and with Aspiring Magazine, and I'm so happy to have our guest. I am here in Palm Springs today, and well, for the next couple of days till the 12th for the film festival, and I'm going to let our guest introduce himself. Thank you so much again for joining us.
My name is Petter Naess. I'm a director of a movie called No Comment. It's a political satire, and unfortunately, I'm not in Palm Springs. I was there in 2008 with a movie called Gone with the Woman, but now I have to be in Oslo. I start working with a theater production on Monday, so the travel was just too long.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to be able to talk to you, Valerie.
Wonderful. Thank you, Peter, and thank you for taking the time as well. And good luck with this next theater production.
Thank
Keep us
you.
posted. So no comment, like you said, it's a sharp political satire about power, spin, and chaos.
Yeah.
What first inspired you to tell this story now?
The first of all, it's based on a true story that just happened with the previous former prime minister of Norway. She and her husband, they did exactly what you see in the movie. She was prime minister and he was buying stocks. I think 3,600 exchanges or so, while living together, sleeping together, being eating in the same kitchen, and she has, of course, sensitive information about things going on that affects the stock market. And he was buying and selling like hell, and we thought that we had to. And they had some strange comments about it, and of course they denied everything. But we wanted to make a comedy, a satire about adult people not being really able to be as adult and responsible as you should be when you're a prime minister and a spouse.
Okay, thank you for that. The phrase "no comment" feels central to the film.
Yeah.
In today's political climate, what does that silence really represent?
Yeah, well, it's for me. This is a movie about the will for power. How much you're willing to sacrifice to stay in office to maintain that power you got. And in this case, she or the spin doctor, they throw the husband under the bus and say blame everything on him. She hasn't done anything wrong. And I think for me it's important to put a light and a camera where the politician doesn't want to have the camera, where they want to be unseen and unheard. And we this is very much based on the true events, and they've been written so much about them and interviews and everything. So, but sometimes they enter a room. And no one is there with them, and we have to invent. We have to come up with stuff that we think they talk about, and the ways that we maybe can imagine they behaved, and that's the satire and that's the comedy when we're alone with them. So and I think it's what do you say? It's a universal tale about the will for power. So you had a great one in the States a long time ago. It was the Wag the Dog, the movie with Robert De Niro as a spin doctor, where it's quite actual. Every time the president has a problem, as the spin doctor says, we need a war. We need, yeah, we need we need to put the focus elsewhere, and that's what this story also is about. It's to move the focus away from the person responsible, the prime minister, and over to in this case, the husband. And it's a big strain on the relationship. They're married. I think they're still married. I haven't heard from them in a long while, but maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. Hard
Maybe.
to tell from watching the film if that was going to
Yeah.
last.
Yeah.
Um, the film shows how quickly control turns into chaos
Yes.
once the image management, takes over. Were you aiming more to entertain the audiences as you're talking about, or to warn them?
I think I wanted to entertain the audience with the lack of responsibility. Um, and I also wanted to make the movie to kind of force the politicians, or at least to think about take the job a little bit more seriously, and be and to put the focus on how important it is that you as a politician I mean in that position, prime minister or president, you have to be you have to be ahead of everybody else. You have to be a bit better. You have to do better. You can't. And during the pandemic, during the COVID, they also did really weird things. They went to restaurants and they forbid, of course, the population of Norway. We had to sit inside, but they went to the sushi restaurant and had a big party in an apartment and at what do you call it, a holiday house, holiday apartment. So they did a few things that they shouldn't do as head of the country. So maybe I forgot your question now, but I think it's always important to put the camera and where the politician doesn't want it to be.
Yeah, basically my question was, were you trying to warn the
Yeah.
audience? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to, first of all, we must remember that most of these things have been written about, but we have never been in the newspapers. They've been interviewed and there has been analysis about it and articles written about it, but we have never created scenes that we invented and imagined could have happened with them. So and and it's about the will to power, but it's just as much about the spin doctors, the system that starts rolling and that starts creating stories and turning the narrative away from the bad. Yeah, the bad side of what or the wrong things they've been doing. Yeah, I wanted to notice the whole idea with this movie was that it should come out 2 weeks before the election in Norway this fall. So that was the whole idea because they wanted this case to go away, but we didn't want it to go away. So and it was, I mean, no Norwegian movie has ever got so much press because there are not many cultural journalists left here in Norway, but political journalists they are here, and they were all over it. They wrote about it. So for this movie was commented more by news on TV and newspapers than in the cultural press. And so we got a lot of focus to this. So we brought this case and this incident up again against the politicians' will, and that's what was we wanted to do, and we didn't want to actually affect the election that they lost by a margin. There were them and and or in the movie she wins, but in the real life she didn't win, and and that was because of the topic of the movie. She wanted too much to stay in office and maintain her power. So, and that's the reason she lost. She should have, when this happened, when this blew in the media, she should have stepped aside and let someone else take over the party. She was the party leader and the prime minister, and she shouldn't be the candidate for that position. But she wanted so hard, and that's what shot her down. And so,
So yeah, so as we know, humor plays a big role here, but the
yeah.
consequences feel very real.
Yeah.
Was it difficult, and how did you balance the satire with the darker truths behind the political cover-ups?
I don't know how it plays to other for you or but for the audience. I think it's very different. Some people think we should have been rougher, tougher with them, and other people said we were because they like her and she's been a fairly good prime minister for 8 years. Um, but treating the balance, the humor and the seriousness of this, My job is to find humor where you don't think you can find it, and find serious stuff where you think everything is just hilarious. So it's back and forth, and of course the story about this is a couple, is a man and wife, and it's I think very many people can relate to that. What happens when your wife or your husband gets into a position like that, and you become the victim. One of them becomes the victim. It's and that can happen in all families. So it's again, I think it's a universal tale about how far you are willing to go to stay to keep the power, and eventually someone will get hurt,
Yeah.
and then that is not always funny, but at the same time I think comedy is seeing people, for me, is seeing people who should know better do mistakes with wide open eyes. They do mistakes, and we know they made a mistake, but they pretend they didn't do it. And that is a sad thing to see, and that's a funny thing to see as well. We know that you're lying, but you keep lying, and then that is funny and sad at the same time, I think. And it's serious because it's we should trust these people, and who should young people growing up now voting for the first time, who can they trust? And so
Yes.
so it's a warning to the politicians. People are watching you, where they are paying attention to what you're doing. So be aware, and be accurate. Be what do you call it? Be real.
Lovely. Yeah, I was about to ask that question. What did you want? What do you want the audiences to take away? Not just as a film, but as an experience. And I think you just answered that, because the Palm Springs audiences are known for being engaged and thoughtful. So
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for your film and for being with us here today. So tell our tell our viewers and our readers, how can they find out more about the film, about you, social media or website or what?
Well, I am in no social media. I'm not on Instagram and not in Facebook. It just email and SMS. For me, it's when I make a movie, everyone else is on what do you call it, Facebook and everything. So it's what I do gets an attention, and it ends up in Palm Springs without without me being on Facebook. But I'm on IMDb, and I made 11 feature films. Oh, actually, this I'm in my 12th feature film now. I made a big TV series called State of Happiness, which has been out on cable in US. I was nominated for the Oscars in 2002 with my movie Elling. So I'm around. I'll be around for a while.
Wonderful. Well, it was my pleasure to meet you virtually. Maybe one day we can meet in person.
That would be
Um,
great. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. We're the Hollywood Times today, hollywoodtimes.net, aspiringmagazine.com, and our YouTube is the Hollywood Times Official. And we will be getting the word out here in Palm Springs at the festival. Thank you
Okay,
so,
great.
so, so much.
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.